beginning to work more with stories. So how to understand stories that other people tell you, as well as continuing to begin to write and say our own stories. So one more review. Remember that the imparfait is used for habitual actions, so things that happen very frequently. It's used for descriptions, any kind of adjective, background information, things like that. Things like that. Or any actions that end up getting interrupted, as this is background information describing what's going on when the interrupting action happens. So remember in our analogy, this was the same thing as the imparfait was describing our scenery as well as our narrator. And the actors are our passé composé, used for main storyline events, actions that are interrupting that initial background imparfait, or things that only happen one time. Okay, so questions 1 and 2. So imagine that you are explaining the difference between imparfait and passé composé to a friend in class who's not really quite sure what's going on. So, in one sentence, tell me why each of the following sentences is in either the imparfait or the passé composé. So number 1, il faisait beau et le soleil brillait. Why is that in the tense that it's in? And number 2, tout d'un coup, which means like all of a sudden, tout d'un coup, elle est tombée. Why is that in the tense that it's in? All right, question 3. So I'm going to read a story to you. It's going to match either picture A or picture B. Okay, so listen to the story and try and see if you can figure out which one of these pictures would go along with my story. All right, quand j'étais jeune, j'avais beaucoup de jouets. J'avais un vélo, beaucoup de livres, même si un ordinateur. C'était très nouveau en 1990. Mais mes jouets préférés étaient mes poupées. Mon frère et moi imaginaient nous étions une mère et un père, et les poupées étaient nos enfants. C'était très amusant. So, question 4. Was the story you just heard in the imparfait or in the passé composé? Why? Finally, question 5. Write a 1 to 2 sentence response to the story that you just heard, comparing it to your childhood. So was your childhood similar? Was it different? Was that something that you wish you had done? Something that you hated doing? So if somebody came up to you and explained this story to you, what would you say in response to them? So for example, let's pretend that the initial story was about sauter à la corde, to jump rope, which of course it wasn't. That wasn't one of your options, but let's pretend it was. So I might respond, ah, jamais sauté à la corde aussi. I also liked to jump rope. C'était mon activité préférée. It was my favorite activity.